Listen to me carefully. I am King Solomon, the wisest and wealthiest ruler who ever lived. I built empires. I accumulated treasures beyond imagination. And today, I'm going to destroy every lie you've been told about abundance. Right now, you're stuck, broke, frustrated, working harder but earning less. You wake up every morning to the same financial prison, the same mediocre existence. Why? Because you're operating from your old self, the version of you that accepts scraps. Here's the brutal truth. Every day you delay this transformation, you're choosing poverty over prosperity. You're choosing limitation over abundance. You're choosing to remain small while others rise to greatness. But what if I told you there's a scientific way to rewire your brain for wealth? What if you could literally delete your old programming and install the mindset of the wealthy? Joe Dispenza has cracked the code that I've known for millennia. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't wishful dreaming. This is neural reconstruction. This is cellular transformation. This is how you become the person who naturally attracts abundance. Stop making excuses. Stop waiting for permission. Your wealthy self is calling. Will you answer? Your mind is your prison warden. Listen to me right now. Your thoughts are not your friends. They're your executioners. Every single morning you wake up and replay the same mental garbage, the same worries, the same doubts, the same pathetic excuses. Do you know what that makes you? A prisoner in your own skull. 95% of your thoughts today are identical to yesterday, identical to last week, identical to last year. You're not living. You're just existing on autopilot. Your brain is a broken record player stuck on the same miserable song. And you wonder why your life never changes. Because you never change the damn song. Here's what's really happening inside your head. Every thought creates a chemical reaction in your body. Every emotion becomes an addiction. Your body craves the familiar stress hormones, the familiar anxiety chemicals, the familiar depression cocktails. You're literally addicted to being miserable. How's that for a wake-up call? When you try to think differently, your body fights back like a drug addict going through withdrawal. It screams for its daily dose of worry, its daily dose of victimhood, its daily dose of mediocrity. Your own biology becomes your enemy. Your own nervous system betrays your dreams. This is why most people fail before they even start. But here's where it gets interesting. Your personality creates your personal reality. Change your personality and you change your entire world. Sound impossible? Good, because impossible is where transformation lives. Comfortable is where dreams go to die. Your thoughts trigger your emotions. Your emotions drive your behaviors. Your behaviors create your experiences. Your experiences reinforce your thoughts. It's a perfect prison system designed to keep you exactly where you are, small, scared, stuck. But every prison has a key, and I'm about to hand you yours. The war against your conditioned body. Your body is not your ally in this transformation. It's your biggest enemy. Every cell in your body is programmed to keep you safe. And safe means the same. Safe means familiar. Safe means mediocre. Your body would rather keep you miserable than risk the unknown. That's the brutal truth nobody tells you. When you decide to change, your body declares war on your dreams. It floods your system with stress chemicals. It creates physical discomfort. It generates fear so intense you'll do anything to return to your old patterns. This is not weakness. This is biology. Your body is literally designed to sabotage your growth. Think about it. You've been conditioning your body with the same emotional states for decades. Guilt becomes your comfort food. Anxiety becomes your security blanket. Resentment becomes your best friend. Your body knows these chemicals better than it knows its own name. So when you try to feel different, it panics. It thinks you're dying. Here's what happens next. Your body sends emergency signals to your brain. Danger, uncertainty, threat. Your primitive brain takes control and forces you back into familiar patterns, back to scrolling social media. back to complaining about your problems, back to choosing the known hell over the unknown heaven. But this is where warriors are made. This is where legends separate from losers. When your body screams for the familiar, you must stay in the unknown. When every fiber of your being begs you to quit, you must push deeper. When the discomfort becomes unbearable, that's when you know you're breaking through. The discomfort you feel is not danger, it's growth. It's your old self dying and your new self being born. Birth is never comfortable. Evolution is never easy. But on the other side of that discomfort lives the person you're meant to become. The question is, are you willing to endure the labor pains of your own rebirth? Meditation is mental surgery. Forget everything you think you know about meditation. This isn't about sitting cross-legged humming mantras. This is about performing surgery on your own consciousness. This is about becoming the observer of your own mental chaos. This is about taking back control of the most powerful computer in the universe, your brain. Most people live their entire lives as prisoners of their automatic reactions. Something happens and they react, like robots, like slaves. They think they're making choices, but they're just running programs installed decades ago. Meditation breaks those programs. It gives you the power to choose your response instead of being controlled by your conditioning. Here's what really happens when you meditate. You become aware of your thoughts without being consumed by them. You watch your emotions without being hijacked by them. You observe your patterns without being trapped by them. For the first time in your life, you step outside the prison of your own mind and see the bars that have been holding you captive. But here's the catch. Your brain hates this. It's been running on autopilot for so long that conscious awareness feels like a foreign invasion. Your mind will throw everything at you to pull you back into unconsciousness. Random thoughts, physical discomfort, emotional storms. This is not meditation failing. This is meditation working. When you sit in meditation, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways. You're creating new connections. You're installing new software. But the old programs don't go quietly. They fight for their survival like cancer cells refusing chemotherapy. The resistance you feel is proof that change is happening. Every moment you stay present instead of getting lost in thought, you're building new neural muscles. Every time you observe your emotions instead of drowning in them, you're expanding your consciousness. Every second you remain the witness instead of becoming the victim, you're evolving into a more powerful version of yourself. This is not relaxation. This is revolution. The science of being trapped. By the time you're 35, your brain has become a fortress of fixed patterns. 95% of your neural pathways are carved in stone. Your thoughts travel the same highways every single day. Your emotions follow the same routes every single hour. You've become a biological robot programmed by your past experiences. But here's what the neuroscientists discovered that changes everything. Your brain remains plastic throughout your entire life. Those neural pathways that seem permanent, they can be changed. Those thought patterns that feel unbreakable, they can be rewired. Those emotional habits that control your life, they can be reprogrammed. You are not stuck, you are just untrained. Every time you think a new thought, your brain creates a new neural pathway. Every time you feel a new emotion, your brain builds new connections. Every time you make a different choice, your brain literally restructures itself. This is not theory. This is hard science. This is your biological blueprint for transformation. But here's the problem. Creating new neural pathways requires massive repetition. Just like building muscle requires consistent training, building new thought patterns requires relentless practice. One positive thought doesn't change your brain. One meditation session doesn't transform your life. One good day doesn't create a new identity. Transformation requires obsessive commitment to new patterns. Your old identity is not who you really are. It's just a collection of repeated thoughts and emotions that have become habits. These habits feel real because they've been reinforced thousands of times, but they're just software. And software can be updated. The question is, are you willing to do the repetitive work required to install your upgrade? The strongest emotional memories in your life have shaped who you think you are. That time you were rejected, that moment you failed, that day you were hurt. These experiences didn't just happen to you, they became you. They created the neural networks that now control your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. But memories are not facts. They're just firing patterns in your brain, and firing patterns can be changed. Breaking free from mental prison. Your subconscious mind is running programs that were installed when you were a child. Programs about money, programs about relationships, programs about success, programs about your own worthiness. These programs are not your truth. They're your programming, and programming can be hacked. Most people spend their entire lives blaming external circumstances for their internal experience. The economy, the government, their parents, their boss, their ex. This is not insight. This is insanity. You're giving your power away to forces outside your control while ignoring the only force you can control, your own mind. Here's the brutal reality. Every excuse you make is a program running in your subconscious. Every complaint you voice is conditioning being reinforced. Every time you blame someone else, you're strengthening the neural pathways that keep you powerless. You're literally rewiring your brain for victimhood. But there's another way. Instead of being the victim of your thoughts, you can become the observer of them. Instead of drowning in your emotions, you can watch them like clouds passing through the sky. Instead of being controlled by your conditioning, you can reprogram your responses. This is not positive thinking. This is conscious creation. The moment you become aware of your automatic reactions, you gain the power to choose different ones. The second you notice your limiting beliefs, you can install empowering ones. The instant you catch yourself running old programs, you can write new code. Awareness is the first step to freedom. But awareness without action is just intellectual masturbation. Your internal dialogue is either your greatest asset or your greatest enemy. Right now, it's probably your enemy. That voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not worthy enough. That voice is not you. It's just old programming playing on repeat, and you have the power to change the channel. Will you use it? The daily revolution. Every morning is a choice between evolution and extinction, between growth and stagnation, between your future self and your past self. Most people choose extinction because it's easier. They choose stagnation because it's familiar. They choose their past self because it requires no effort. But you're not most people, are you? Meditation is not a hobby. It's a daily revolution against your conditioned mind. Every time you sit in stillness, you're declaring war on your limitations. Every moment you observe your thoughts, you're breaking free from their control. Every second you choose presence over unconsciousness, you're evolving into a more powerful being. But here's what separates the successful from the mediocre. The successful don't just meditate. They integrate their elevated state throughout their entire day. They don't just have a good meditation session and then return to their old patterns. They maintain their new energy in every interaction, every decision, every moment. This is the difference between temporary change and permanent transformation. Your goal is not to escape reality during meditation. Your goal is to bring a new reality into existence through meditation. When you can maintain the emotions of your future self while living in your current circumstances, you become a magnet for that future. When you can feel grateful before your blessings arrive, you accelerate their arrival. When you can be joyful before your dreams manifest, you become unstoppable. This is not wishful thinking. This is quantum physics in action. Your emotional state sends out a specific frequency into the field of infinite possibilities. That frequency attracts experiences that match its vibration. Change your frequency and you change your reality. Change your emotions and you change your world. This is not metaphysics. This is the mechanics of manifestation. But maintaining elevated emotions requires constant vigilance. Your old self will try to pull you back into familiar feelings. Doubt, fear, frustration. These emotions feel real because they've been practiced thousands of times. But they're not serving your future. They're anchoring you to your past. The moment you feel them arising, you must consciously choose different emotions. This is your moment of power. The laboratory of life. Scientists have been studying the effects of this work for over a decade. Brain scans, blood tests, genetic analysis, heart rate monitoring. The results are not debatable. They're measurable. They're undeniable. When you consistently practice this work, your biology changes at the cellular level. Your brain rewires itself. Your genes express differently. Your heart achieves coherence. These are not placebo effects. These are not positive thinking results. These are hardcore scientific measurements showing that your thoughts and emotions literally reshape your physical reality. Your beliefs become your biology. Your emotions become your chemistry. Your mind becomes your medicine. This is not spirituality. This is science. Brain scans show that people who do this work develop new neural networks in as little as 4 weeks. Their brainwave patterns shift from chaos to coherence. Their stress hormones decrease dramatically. Their immune function improves significantly. They become biologically younger while chronologically aging. They're literally reversing the aging process through consciousness alone. But the most profound changes happen at the genetic level. Your genes are not fixed programs. They're responsive switches that turn on and off based on your environment. And your thoughts and emotions are your internal environment. When you change your thoughts, you change which genes are activated. When you change your emotions, you change how your genes express themselves. You are not a victim of your genetics. You are the director of your genetic expression. The heart coherence measurements are equally impressive. When you maintain elevated emotions like gratitude, compassion, and joy, your heart rhythm becomes coherent. This coherence sends signals to your brain that enhance cognitive function, emotional stability, and creative thinking. Your heart literally becomes an amplifier for your transformation. But this only happens when you do the work consistently. Studies show that people from all backgrounds, all ages, all education levels can achieve these results. This is not reserved for spiritual masters or meditation experts. This is available to anyone willing to commit to the process. The question is not whether it works. The question is whether you'll work it. Will you commit to your own evolution or continue choosing your own limitation? The crucible of transformation. Imagine being surrounded by 1,500 people who are as committed to transformation as you are. 1,500 people who have decided to break free from their limitations. 1,500 people who are willing to do whatever it takes to become the person they're meant to be. This is not a seminar. This is a revolution. When you immerse yourself completely in this work, something magical happens. The collective energy amplifies your individual transformation. The group consciousness elevates everyone beyond what they could achieve alone. The shared commitment creates a field of possibility that makes the impossible inevitable. You don't just change, you evolve. But this level of transformation requires total commitment. No distractions, no excuses, no half measures. When you're surrounded by people who are giving everything to their growth, you have no choice but to match their intensity. Mediocrity becomes impossible. Excellence becomes inevitable. This is the power of immersive transformation. The pain of staying the same must become greater than the fear of changing. Most people live their entire lives in quiet desperation because they're more afraid of the unknown than they are dissatisfied with the known. But when you reach the breaking point, when the pain of limitation exceeds the fear of transformation, that's when miracles happen. Here's what happens in those intensive experiences. Your physical limitations dissolve. Your emotional barriers crumble. Your mental restrictions evaporate. You discover that the only thing that was ever holding you back was your belief that you were limited. When that belief dies, your true power is born. When that illusion disappears, your authentic self emerges. The culture has conditioned you to define reality with your five senses. If you can't see it, touch it, hear it, smell it, or taste it, it doesn't exist. But this is the most limiting belief system ever created. The greatest forces in the universe are invisible. Love is invisible. Consciousness is invisible. Potential is invisible. Your future self is invisible until you bring it into existence through belief and emotion. The art of creating from nothing. Your future exists as pure potential waiting to be actualized, but it will never become real until you think it into existence and feel it into reality. This is not fantasy. This is the fundamental process of creation. Everything that exists in the physical world was first conceived in consciousness. Every invention, every work of art, every human achievement, mind creates matter, always. But here's where most people fail. They try to create from their current circumstances instead of creating from their desired outcomes. They look at their bank account and feel poor. They look at their relationships and feel lonely. They look at their career and feel stuck. They're creating more of the same by focusing on what is instead of what could be. The secret is to feel the emotions of your future before it arrives, to experience gratitude for blessings that haven't manifested yet, to feel joy for successes that exist only in possibility, to embody the energy of your dreams before they become visible. This is how you become a magnet for your desired future. Your brain cannot distinguish between an experience that's remembered and an experience that's imagined. When you vividly imagine your future success and feel the emotions of achieving it, your brain treats it as if it already happened. Your nervous system responds as if it's real. Your subconscious mind begins working to make it reality. This is not visualization. This is pre-actualization. But you must be careful not to anchor your desired future in urgency or desperation. When you need something to happen, you're operating from lack. When you're attached to outcomes, you're creating resistance. The key is to feel the emotions of having already received what you desire while remaining unattached to when or how it arrives. This is the paradox of manifestation. Every time you think about your desired future and feel frustrated that it hasn't happened yet, you're connecting to your past self. Every time you worry about how it will manifest, you're limiting the possibilities. Every time you doubt its arrival, you're delaying its appearance. Your job is not to figure out the how. Your job is to embody the who. Who would you be if your dreams were already real? Mastering your inner weather. Your emotions are not happening to you. They're happening through you. You are not the victim of your feelings. You are the creator of them. This shift in understanding changes everything. When you realize that you generate your own emotional experience, you reclaim your power to choose how you feel regardless of what's happening around you. Most people let their emotions run wild like untrained animals. They feel angry and act angry. They feel sad and become sad. They feel afraid and live in fear. But emotions are just energy in motion. They're temporary chemical reactions that you can observe, redirect, or transform. You are not your emotions. You are the one experiencing them. The goal is not to eliminate negative emotions. The goal is to not be controlled by them. When anger arises, you can observe it without being consumed by it. When fear appears, you can acknowledge it without being paralyzed by it. When sadness emerges, you can feel it without drowning in it. This is emotional mastery. This is self-regulation. But here's the advanced practice. Instead of just managing negative emotions, you learn to consciously generate positive ones. You can choose to feel grateful when nothing good has happened. You can decide to feel joyful when everything seems wrong. You can select to feel peaceful when chaos surrounds you. This is not denial. This is deliberate creation of your internal experience. When you can maintain elevated emotions despite external circumstances, you become unstoppable. When you can feel abundant while broke, prosperity flows to you. When you can feel loved while alone, relationships appear. When you can feel successful while failing, opportunities multiply. Your external world always reflects your internal state. Change your inner weather and you change your outer world. But this requires constant vigilance. Your old emotional patterns will try to reassert themselves thousands of times per day. Every challenge becomes a test of your emotional mastery. Every setback becomes an opportunity to practice self-regulation. Every difficult moment becomes a chance to choose who you want to be instead of defaulting to who you've always been. This is the daily work of transformation. The technology of belief. Virtual reality proves something revolutionary about human consciousness. When you put on VR goggles, your brain responds to the artificial environment as if it were real. Your heart rate changes, your breathing shifts, your nervous system activates. Your body cannot distinguish between perceived reality and actual reality. This is the key to understanding how belief creates experience. When you imagine a future scenario vividly enough, your brain treats it as a memory. When you feel the emotions of a desired outcome intensely enough, your body responds as if it's happening. When you believe something deeply enough, your subconscious mind works to make it true. Your beliefs are not just thoughts, they're instructions to your biology. But most people have been programmed with beliefs that limit their potential. Beliefs about money being scarce. Beliefs about success being difficult. Beliefs about happiness being temporary. These beliefs are not facts. They're just repeated thoughts that have been reinforced until they feel real. But anything that's learned can be unlearned. Anything that's programmed can be reprogrammed. The anxiety you feel about your future is not a prediction. It's a chemical reaction to conditioned thoughts. The worry that consumes your mind is not preparation. It's the replay of old programming. The fear that paralyzes your actions is not protection. It's the result of believing stories that aren't serving your growth. These feelings are not your truth. They're just your current software. When you recognize that your body responds to your imagination as if it were reality, you gain tremendous power. You can literally rehearse success until it becomes your default expectation. You can practice confidence until it becomes your natural state. You can train optimism until it becomes your automatic response. Your imagination becomes your training ground for transformation. But you must be careful what you imagine. Your subconscious mind doesn't judge the quality of your thoughts. It just works to manifest whatever you consistently focus on. If you repeatedly imagine failure, you program yourself for failure. If you consistently visualize success, you prime yourself for success. Your imagination is either your greatest tool or your biggest trap. Which will you choose? Installing your new operating system. Happiness is not something you find, it's something you install. Joy is not something you discover, it's something you program. Peace is not something you achieve, it's something you create. These elevated emotions are choices, not circumstances. They're decisions, not discoveries. They're practices, not accidents. Right now, you're running emotional software that was installed years ago. Programs of worry, programs of doubt, programs of fear. These programs run automatically whenever certain triggers appear. Bad news activates worry, EXE. Uncertainty launches fear, EXE. Challenges execute doubt, EXE. You've become a biological computer running outdated software that's crashing your life. But what if you could install new programs? Programs of joy, programs of confidence, programs of abundance. What if every trigger that used to launch negative emotions now activated positive ones? What if every challenge became an opportunity for growth? What if every setback became a setup for comeback? This is not fantasy. This is the future version of you. Installing new emotional software requires the same focused attention you'd give to any important task. You must disconnect from all distractions. Turn off the news. Silence your phone. Remove yourself from negative influences. Create a sacred space where transformation can occur. This is not selfishness. This is self-preservation. You cannot transform in the same environment that created your limitations. The process requires complete immersion. Half-hearted efforts produce half-hearted results. Partial commitment creates partial transformation. You must approach this with the same intensity that a drowning person approaches breathing. Your old self must die for your new self to be born. This death is not comfortable. Birth is never painless, but the alternative is a life of quiet desperation. When you truly commit to this transformation, your entire world shifts to support your growth. People who don't match your new energy fall away. Opportunities that align with your elevated state appear. Circumstances that support your evolution manifest. This is not luck. This is the natural result of changing your internal frequency. Change your energy and you change your experience. The discipline of transcendence. Growth requires more than motivation. It demands discipline. Not the kind of discipline that punishes you for weakness, but the kind that strengthens you for greatness. Every time you choose your future self over your past self, you build spiritual muscle. Every moment you select growth over comfort, you expand your capacity for transformation. When life hits you with challenges, you have two choices. You can use that energy to complain about your problems or to create your solutions. You can invest that emotion in victimhood or in victory. You can spend that power on blame or on breakthrough. The same energy that creates your suffering can fuel your success. The choice is always yours. Most people waste their life force on drama that doesn't serve their growth. They gossip about others. They worry about things beyond their control. They replay past hurts like broken records. This is not living. This is dying slowly. Every moment you spend in these lower frequencies is a moment stolen from your potential. The discipline of transcendence means using every experience as fuel for your evolution. When someone disappoints you, you practice forgiveness to free yourself from resentment. When circumstances frustrate you, you practice patience to strengthen your emotional regulation. When life challenges you, you practice resilience to build your character. Nothing is wasted when everything becomes training. Your old self will resist this discipline with everything it has. It will create emergencies to distract you. It will manufacture crises to consume your attention. It will generate chaos to pull you back into familiar patterns. This resistance is not a sign of failure. It's proof that transformation is happening. The stronger the resistance, the closer you are to breakthrough. But here's what happens when you persist through the resistance. The very challenges that used to break you begin to make you stronger. The situations that used to frustrate you become opportunities to practice mastery. The people that used to trigger you become teachers helping you evolve. Your entire life becomes a classroom for conscious creation. The alchemy of adversity. The people who experience the deepest transformations often come from the darkest places. They've endured loss. They've faced failure. They've survived trauma. But instead of letting these experiences destroy them, they use them as raw material for reconstruction. They transformed their wounds into wisdom. They converted their pain into power. When you reach a state of true coherence, something miraculous happens in your brain. Your neurons fire in perfect harmony. Your brain waves synchronize like a symphony. Your consciousness expands beyond the boundaries of your individual identity. Scientists call this gamma brainwave coherence. Mystics call it enlightenment. I call it coming home to who you really are. These transcendent experiences change you at the deepest level. The problems that once seemed overwhelming now appear as opportunities for growth. The people who once seemed like enemies now feel like teachers. The circumstances that once felt like punishment now reveal themselves as preparation. You begin to see the perfection in the chaos, the purpose in the pain. After experiencing these states, many people report a profound shift in how they relate to their past. Instead of feeling victimized by their experiences, they feel grateful for them. Instead of regretting their mistakes, they appreciate the lessons. Instead of resenting their struggles, they honor them as necessary for their evolution. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is spiritual maturity. The journey to your authentic self requires the death of your false self. This death is not comfortable. It involves letting go of identities you've carried for decades. It means releasing stories that have defined you for years. It requires abandoning beliefs that have limited you since childhood. But on the other side of this death lives your true power. Your struggles are not random. They are precisely calibrated to help you develop the qualities you need for your highest expression. Every challenge is designed to strengthen specific aspects of your character. Every setback is orchestrated to teach you valuable lessons. Every difficulty is perfectly positioned to accelerate your growth. When you understand this, you stop being a victim of your life and become the hero of your story. The endless evolution. Transformation is not a destination, it's a way of traveling. Growth is not an achievement, it's a commitment. Evolution is not something you complete, it's something you continue. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop advancing. The second you become satisfied is the second you start stagnating. Each goal you achieve becomes the foundation for the next level of growth. Each dream you manifest creates the capacity for bigger dreams. Each version of yourself you embody prepares you for an even greater version. This is not exhausting. This is exhilarating. This is what it means to be fully alive. But here's the trap many people fall into. They achieve their desired transformation and then stop doing the work that created it. They reach their goal weight and stop exercising. They find their ideal relationship and stop growing. They manifest financial abundance and stop learning. Success without continued growth leads to stagnation. Achievement without ongoing evolution leads to decline. The practices that got you to where you are must be maintained to keep you there. The habits that created your success must be sustained to maintain it. The mindset that attracted your desires must be preserved to keep them. Transformation is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong commitment. It's a daily decision. It's a moment-by-moment choice. When one dream becomes reality, your consciousness expands to accommodate bigger dreams. When one goal is achieved, your capacity increases to handle greater goals. When one version of yourself is mastered, you become ready to embody an even more powerful version. This is the natural progression of conscious evolution. This is the inevitable result of committed growth. The question is not whether you can transform. You've already proven that by getting this far. The question is how far you're willing to go. How much are you willing to grow? How great are you willing to become? How much of your potential are you willing to actualize? The only limits are the ones you accept. The only boundaries are the ones you believe. The only ceiling is the one you create. What will you choose? The moment of no return. Right now, as you're listening to these words, something is shifting inside you. Your old programming is cracking. Your limiting beliefs are dissolving. Your past self is dying. This is not comfortable. This is not easy, but this is necessary. You have two choices in this moment. You can close this video and return to your comfortable prison of mediocrity. You can pretend this conversation never happened. You can go back to your familiar patterns of limitation and scarcity. Or you can step into the fire of transformation and let it burn away everything that's not serving your highest potential. Your future self is calling you right now. Can you hear that voice? That version of you who has abundance flowing effortlessly. That version of you who radiates confidence and magnetism. That version of you who creates miracles as easily as breathing. That person is not someday. That person is available right now. But here's what most people don't understand. Transformation happens in moments like this, not in seminars, not in books, not in courses, in moments when you make the decision to stop being who you've always been and start becoming who you're meant to be. This is that moment. This is your moment. If you want to continue this transformation, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't let your old self talk you out of your breakthrough. Your abundance is not coming tomorrow. Your new identity is not forming next week. Your elevated self is not emerging next month. It's happening right now. Every second you delay is another second your old patterns reassert control. Every moment you hesitate is another moment your familiar limitations reclaim territory. Every breath you waste in indecision is another breath stolen from your destiny. Not tomorrow, not later, not when you feel ready. Now, not when circumstances improve, not when you have more time, not when you feel more confident. Now, your transformation is not a future event. Your evolution is not a someday possibility. Your new self is not a distant dream. Now, right now, this second, choose now.